You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bridge After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Bridge After Show.
Ooh, creepy again, as always. Bing is for doing, and we are back doing another episode of The Bridge. It's season 1, episode 9, entitled The Beetle. I'm your host for the evening, Paige Sullivan. Dave Klein couldn't be with us this evening. He's actually not feeling well, so he's sad to miss out, but he'll definitely be here next week. And I'm joined by my co-host once again. You can introduce yourself.
I am Tommy Rasera. How you doing?
Yes, so we're going to break down this episode, just the two of us, and it was a good one, but for me, it was lackluster.
Yeah, you weren't feeling it.
I wasn't feeling it, and I wanted to because I thought this was going to be like an intense, crazy episode.
I mean, a lot of stuff did happen, though.
I know. A lot happened, but don't you feel like nothing was answered? Like we don't have anything more than we had last episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened, but there was a lot of setup, I think, for down the line that's going to pay off in the next few episodes, which is never, it's not always fulfilling, but...
Right. There has to be episodes like this, the fluff episodes to get you where you need to be.
So I think I think that Hastings, I think he actually, I'm on board now that he might actually be the guy.
So you were like, this is him after everything.
We've been dragging it out for so long. I figured maybe, there was like
maybe
one
there's
more
a
little
twist.
bit.
Yeah, no, I think.
I'm kind of on board now.
But he's like a psychopath. Like he's so normal, and then he just like changes. And he's like, here's a grenade.
He's a great or whatever he is. Is he officially a serial killer now, or is he more just a sociopath, psychopath?
Sociopath, maybe, because serial killers, I feel like, don't they commit somewhat the same crime over and over? I mean, granted, he leaves the bead over and over, and there's like a method to his madness. Maybe he is a serial killer?
He's been mixing it up, though. Yeah,
I know, and he's targeting so many different people, but we'll dive into him a little bit later. We'll get started off first with Charlotte. She's in a world of trouble right now. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, there's murder. There's the cops are involved. There's stabbing with a pitchfork, and poor Caesar.
Yeah, Caesar.
Poor Caesar. This episode, I feel like he's going to play a bigger role than we initially thought.
Yeah, he really stepped up this episode. I think yeah.
Yeah, because when he showed her the tunnel to Mexico, he was kind of like, I don't know anything, like this is just what it is. But now if you watch the episode, Graciela was in there and basically was about to kill Caesar and Charlotte, and Caesar shot her bodyguard, and then Charlotte killed Graciela, all because of what Ray did.
Yeah, Ray really just,
And where is Ray? Why is Ray?
He was on the couch, wasn't he?
Ray's watching TV inside. It's like, where are you? Like your girlfriend's basically being attacked by this Mexican woman who wants to kill you. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
And you were concerned about Caesar when the whole horse scene was a little bit very tense, actually.
Yeah,
every time they throw a horse in there now, I get nervous.
I know, it's like, are they going to hang a horse? Well, I was worried instead of the horse it would be Caesar, who was dead when she got in there. Luckily, he's not dead, but he's also now an accomplice to murdering and covering it up and whatever they were doing in the tunnel.
Yeah, and he's going to go out with a date with his wife to the movies tonight.
I know. So, I mean, it's just so nonchalant. Like, we murdered them. Okay, what do we do now? We bury them. What do we do now? Nothing. And Caesar tells her not to tell Ray.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. But, how is he not going to know?
That's my question. It's
like blow it off?
Ray's dealing with Graciela, so what happens when he contacts her and she doesn't answer? Or he goes to Mexico and she's not there?
Or when he goes down there and the door's shut to go to the tunnel, which she's probably not even going to do that, actually.
Shut the door?
Yeah. That'd be the smart play right now, right?
Well, she said to Caesar, we'll talk tomorrow about the tunnel. So it looks like she's kind of in it now. She's like in it for the long run. She's going to keep that tunnel open? I
mean, if I had to venture a guess, I would say that Graciela has probably a lot of people working for her, and if she's missing for maybe, a day or two, they might come looking for her. Perhaps in the tunnel? Here's
my question, though. She's kind of like the ringleader. She's the queen of whatever it is she's running. If she doesn't give the orders, do they care?
So even
do they have the loyalty?
A second in charge that's going to step up and just...
Yeah. Do they have loyalty to her? Do they even care really about her? Because in a situation with, say, Fausto, his henchman, that big guy, I don't really remember his name right now. He definitely seems loyal to Fausto, but is everybody else, or are they just with him because they're afraid of him and because he puts bodies up on telephone poles to scare everybody?
That's a good
So
point.
are they legitimately loyal? Do they care to find her? If she is dead, do they care to find out who killed her? Does it matter?
My point is that door is not safe if it's open.
No, well, no, it's not. Somebody's going to come through at some point. Somebody they don't want. But Fausto now is aware of it too. So if it's not somebody who Graciela was working with, it's Fausto.
Yeah.
Which now she might end up dealing with him.
If I was Charlotte, I would just move from that whole estate. I mean, it's nice and all, but I think it's a hotbed for crime.
Yeah.
At the time.
And somebody mentioned once, I think in the YouTube comments, that her daughter or stepdaughter, Kate, was also living there, but we haven't seen that. And my impression is that she's gone back to live where she was previously. I don't think she was living with them. I think she was solely there for the funeral and for all of that going on, and that she's long gone.
Oh yeah, I forgot about her.
We haven't seen her, and because I was saying, I think one of these actresses, I was saying she should sell it, she should get out. But then again, there is the will to think about. Kate probably, has some say in whether the house stays or goes, and maybe she can't, but she herself should remove herself from the estate. It's not that hard to just find an apartment downtown or move back to Tampa and just say it's too hard to live there knowing that your husband passed. Yeah, well, I don't know if Ray even has a place to live.
Ray probably has like a studio and
he probably got less than a
messy.
studio. He probably like couch surfs for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I think if she could even use the excuse like, my husband died, it's too sad to live there in the home we created together.
I mean, the Graciela thing, I did not see that coming at all. Did you?
Oh no, I didn't think she was gonna.
I thought it was Ray. I thought Ray was done this episode.
We haven't seen the cops at all. So Ray kind of got off scot-free this whole episode.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened to him, and he knows nothing. I don't know. Maybe Charlotte can work with the police. Maybe she can I don't know.
Don't you think she's too deep into it now to be working with the police?
No, she could be like, Carl never told me.
Yeah.
And then Ray came into the picture, and Graciela hung a horse, and I was scared, and he said he'd handle it, and I just let him handle it. I didn't understand what was happening. And so maybe she could just play the dumb wife.
Could be a good defense.
I mean, it might work. I mean, if she honestly is like, I don't know, then she can go with that. You know who I didn't think about was the lawyer.
Oh,
Graciela's lawyer. Yeah, he might pose an issue for this.
That's true.
But then again, does he really poke around unless Graciela asks him to? I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Lyle Lovett Lawyer's only made a couple appearances.
I know. He's only been there 2 or 3 times. Oh, with the black bean soup or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And yeah.
He's one of my favorite ancillary characters.
Well, I liked him, but I just don't want to see him again because it just means bad news if we do.
It's true.
I mean, it'll play out. We'll see what happens with that. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, and I am concerned, but Caesar stepping up this week. Caesar, he went from here to here. So at least where I do feel bad for him.
I feel bad, but because he's so mixed up in this and he seems like a genuinely good guy who's working his butt off to provide for his family.
But I mean, to be fair, he's been mixed up in this for a long time.
Yes, but I don't think it was ever to this level that it's gotten right now. I think Carl said, this is here, this is kind of what's going on, don't touch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he was really involved in what was happening.
You don't think he was shooting people?
But do you think he set it up now, come to think about it? Because Graciela knows who he is.
Yeah. So you think he said... Do
you think maybe Graciela contacted Caesar, who reached out to Carl?
Oh, so he was on the inside and they found the... I don't know. That's a good...
Not on the inside maybe, but maybe she knew him. Maybe somebody she works with is a family member of Caesar's. And
Yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting point, though. I never even would have thought of that.
Because she even says, she's like, Caesar, don't get involved. You're just, a servant.
Yeah.
But so she knew who he was. She knows who he is by name.
They probably went way back, though, because her and Carl, how long do you think they've been doing that for?
Oh, forever.
Yeah.
Probably a really long time. I don't know. We won't have these answers from Graciela because she's long gone now, and so is Carl. So all we have is Caesar. So maybe he'll fill us in.
Ooh, maybe we'll get a flashback with them next week.
That would be nice. I would actually like to see how this all started, like the jumping off point for the tunnel.
They've been really going to the flashbacks lately, so...
Yeah, this whole episode's kind of started with a flashback, a pretty intense one. But before that, Stephen Linder briefly appeared in this episode after his nightmare/sex dream with Ava last episode. And Fausto. This episode, he goes to see her and talk to the gentleman who, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he has that house where she's living. He sketches me out, by the way. He's supposed to be like, a man of God, but he also was like, oh, you like to watch her work? I like to watch her work. I'm like, okay.
There was did you notice there was not a lot of people there at the Jesus camp or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was only Ava or.
Yeah, there used to be more though.
Yeah.
The first time they went there was a bunch of people working around. I think I saw one other guy that they passed when they were coming up on the porch.
Yeah.
But he basically went there to kind of bare his soul and say he killed somebody. And the guy was like, oh yeah, after I killed somebody for the first time, I was starving. I ate so many hamburgers.
That was kind of odd. And
okay.
Creepy, very creepy.
It was creepy.
I think he went there just to flirt with Ava. I mean, I think it was like 10% get something off his chest, 90% flirt with Ava.
I wouldn't call it flirting because I don't think he knows how to flirt. I think it was he wanted to see Ava after that dream, and he also feels very guilty about what happened with Hector. And he even says, "Oh, you loved Hector," and she says, "Yeah, I did, but I didn't mean to, and I shouldn't have." But so, like I said, I didn't get the point of this in this episode. I felt like there was a lot more going on, but I think these are just building blocks to what's happening.
Yeah, I really think something's going to happen between Linder and Ava. I think it's got to.
I hope so.
I'm pulling for Linder.
I hope so because she seems to genuinely like him and view him as somebody who really helped her in a time of need.
Yeah.
And he feels strongly towards her, and he feels like he's protecting her and he's looking out for her.
I mean, he did. What was Hector? Yeah.
Hector. I mean, granted, I don't know if he would have looked for Hector and tried to kill Hector had Hector not come into his home and tried to murder him. So, I mean, it's not like Steven was like, I'm going to avenge Ava. I'm going to, make sure she's not scared of him anymore, which is something that kind of happened. But now he's really kind of far into this. He's pretty deep into it with Ava.
Everyone's getting, I feel like, deeper than they anticipated.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get into that business, it's bound to happen eventually, right?
I think that's the thing. It's just like, it's a snowball effect. You do one thing and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And I mean, we'll have to see what plays out with Steven and Ava. I kind of hope they get together.
Yeah,
in some sense. I don't know.
I'm sure it would be the most awkward sex scene of the whole series, but
that dream was so awkward. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. The whole thing I like Steven Linder, but I just... he's an awkward guy.
Yeah. I was creeped out by his voice at first. It's starting to grow on me.
Sometimes I have a hard time understanding what he's saying. I have to like really listen very closely because it's kind of like a monotone mumble, and I can't tell where
like cotton in your mouth.
Yeah, like where does one word end and the next begin sometimes. Like that's what I'm getting. But I think that's what he's supposed to sound like. But it's a little difficult.
I mumble sometimes too, so I kind of understand that.
Yeah, maybe. Kind of maybe I just need to hang out with people who mumble more, and then I'll get Steven Linder a little better.
There you go.
But I do like his character, and I like Ava, and she seemed genuinely happy to see him. Happy-ish.
Yeah.
Not ecstatic, but she was happy-ish.
No, she was, she wasn't creeped out.
Not creeped out.
She was thankful.
Yeah, she seemed thankful. So, I mean, hopefully this plays out in a good way, because he seems like a good guy who just needs things to go his way. I don't know, but if you have any opinions on this or you want to let us know your thoughts on Steven or Charlotte, you can check us out on iTunes. You can comment, rate us, let us know what you're thinking. As always, we kind of I respond to the comments very often, so you'll see me on there. And we really appreciate the feedback and hearing what you guys think, because these episodes are jam-packed with information. It's really hard to stay on top of it all and all the names and all the people and the details. So you guys are very helpful in reminding us of things we may have forgotten or overlooked. So don't forget to check that out. And you'll also have to tell us what you thought about this episode. It looked like it was going to be mind-blowing and crazy, and I didn't feel like that with what happened with David and Alma and Marco. Did you?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of tense moments. I mean, the grenade thing, you can't really take the pin out of a grenade and put it in someone's hands and not have like a really tense. I mean, it was kind of, I don't want to say cheesy, but I feel like whatever he's doing is extremely calculated, and
But he didn't even like play it that well. He got too creepy before giving her the grenade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, close your eyes, and then she peeks, and he was like, girls, tell mommy to close her eyes or keep her eyes closed. And then he wasn't listening to what she was saying. If he'd kept like a light, upbeat air about him, I think it would have had a better effect on her.
Yeah, he peaked a little early on that one.
Didn't he? He got like super excited to be handing her a grenade.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe he didn't want, obviously he didn't want her to die there, though.
Here's the thing.
I don't think.
We get that impression because she didn't die there.
Yeah.
But he didn't know she wasn't going to let go of it. He didn't know she wasn't going to try to pull some stunt.
But didn't you think, like, this is a guy who's allegedly hacked up all these bodies. I mean, didn't you think he would have done something like that instead of blown her up?
No, because every murder's been different with him.
Yeah,
Almost every single murder's been different.
There's a lot of knife work in there.
There is a lot of neck knife work going on,
sawing
and
in half.
legs and legs. But there's also just the poison of the water.
Oh, yeah.
And there was, I'm trying to think of who else. This is sad. Who else he killed? I was gonna say the guy last week, but he did slice his throat.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's more. There's just the plan has already been really intricate. I feel like it's just he knew that she wasn't gonna, or the chances were lower. I mean, why would he give him the coordinates to see the blown up bodies or?
But okay. I see where you're going with that, but I think maybe you're right. Maybe it was a bigger plan where he was going after Gus more than he was going after Alma and the kids.
Yeah. That's true.
Because he waited till he heard from Gus before he did the coordinates. So if he'd never heard from Gus, was he going to give them the coordinates?
Can we back up a second and talk about how Xena made an appearance this week, which, in case anyone was playing at home, I predicted last week.
Yes. He did predict Xena would show up. Not what I was expecting for Xena. She was very pierced.
She looks like a Xena, though.
She does look like a Xena. But all I think of, like, Xenon, girl of the 21st century. Like, that's all I think of. I don't know. So that's what I thought this little blonde girl in pink would come running up. But guess not. I didn't think it was going to be Xena on the street, though, when she scared him.
Yeah. That's weird, though. So let's talk about He hasn't talked to her in years.
He hasn't seen her in years.
Yeah.
Because she moved away.
Did we ever establish the reconnection via text or no? Or is that just assumed?
No, I think we never saw it and we never heard of it, but what it sounds like is Xena must have reached out.
Yeah.
Xena, who wasn't Xena, and just being friendly. You know, it's I moved away, we were good friends.
Sup, Gus?
Yeah, sup, Gus. Tell me about your life. Like all the older women you're stalking. The MILFs.
So how's your dad doing?
That was so funny. I have to say, for me, this episode, the biggest highlight was Sonia. She was so funny.
The MILF line and what else? There was
I'm
something
not
else.
a MILF. I have no kids. I'm like, what? When he's upset in his house and she's like, does it get boring sleeping next to the same
Yes,
person
that was
every
great.
night? Or is it weird sleeping next to the same person every night? Marco's like, my wife is basically kidnapped right now. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have this conversation with you.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's funny when he's saying, you need to tell me what I want to hear. She's like, well, what do you want to hear? I don't know what you want to hear. So, I mean, she was surprisingly the comic relief this episode. And I liked it. She was my favorite part.
Yeah, I agree. The MILF line. And like this, the deadpan answer. I'm not married. Or I don't have any kids.
I don't have any kids. But then other times, like when Gus is very upset and she was like, I'm busy, I'm working. Then I was like, now I wish she would like come back out and do what she did last week and really connect with somebody. But she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, she has been the one that's been there for Goose more than
his father.
Yeah.
Or Alma, because it seems like Alma was too wrapped up in Kenneth.
Oh yeah, and almost. I mean, how many kids is it?
3.
The 3. Oh yeah.
But Goose isn't really isn't her biological son.
That's right.
It's her stepson.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but this whole thing, with David, it was just it just seemed too easy. Like everything just seemed to be happening too easy. There was no fight for anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I guess I retract what I said earlier. That I'm sold that he's done all these things, but I feel there's another piece of the puzzle that we're missing, and I think we saw it in the next on where Sonia said something about it doesn't make sense. So there was some line, I forgot what it was.
I don't
know.
But
it led me to believe that there's some piece of the puzzle that just...
Well, it seems like there's a piece of the puzzle. It seems like he has a bigger picture here, and he's just screwing around with Marco now. He's just trying to make it hard for him. But like Sonia said, he was in the FBI. He knows everything they're going to do. Then why are they doing things in such a methodical way? Why are they doing it the way they'd normally do it? Why don't they take a step back and do it differently?
Exactly.
Because she's driving to the safe house. He knows where she's going.
Yeah, and even with the stakeout, with the meeting of Gus, like they have the creepy looking van parked around the corner.
And the guy on the roof.
Yeah. And like he didn't even need to, binoculars to see him.
He literally looked up and could see him. I mean,
that was sloppy.
Yeah, it was sloppy. Here's the thing. You just said he's an FBI agent. He knows you're going to be there with the van. He knows you're going to have people looking for him. Hide a little better.
Yeah, do something.
Hide a little bit better. That's all you had to do.
Get a guy, like, maybe 2 buildings away. Like, get a different, like a Prius or something, and black the windows. I don't know. Just do something different than that setup.
Here's my thing. So he was sitting at that table, ready to meet Gus. I don't know what his original plan was if they weren't there with him. Was he going to bring him to the house? What was he going to do with him? But he didn't write the GPS coordinates down until he saw that the police were there. He didn't write that till he saw that and then had that delivered. So maybe it was one of those things where it's like, I want one or the other. If I can't kill Alma and the girls, then I want to have Gus. Or if I can't have Gus, then I'm going to have Alma and the girls. Like maybe it's, one of those things is going to affect Marco greatly.
I have a dumb question. Was that was
No
that
question is a dumb question.
Was that Gus that was in the hoodie, or was that somebody else?
No, it was somebody else. I'm pretty
I
sure.
couldn't tell. And I didn't think it was, but I just want to make
No,
sure.
Gus was Sonia.
Yeah,
at the
that's right.
precinct, and you know, it just all of it frustrated me. I just felt like I should have been on the edge of my seat, and I wasn't. You know, I wasn't worried for Alma and the girls.
Yeah,
I
was
wasn't.
for about like 1/10 of a second when she was in the corner of the room.
And they were in the other corner.
Yeah, I was like, maybe.
Those girls were not freaking out.
No.
They weren't asking questions.
They were pretty chill.
And here's the thing, it's like you have these little children, they got an abundance of energy. Have them kick a hole in the wall, or have them do something. Like,
Or do something. Put them to work.
Yeah, like I think if it was me and my mom, she'd be like, Paige, you start digging a hole right now, and I would just do it. I mean, if my mom's like, I have a big bomb in my hands, like, let's chop chop.
That grenade went off a little like I was thinking, let's just be a little explosion. It went off a little bit bigger than I was thinking. So
Yeah.
you couldn't just throw it to the corner of the room. It was
Well, no, what I wanted her to do was like get a hole or like kick one of the boards out and throw it outside, like
Yeah, that was
far enough away. And he's like, when you stop, you have 5 seconds. So you figure 5 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a decent amount of time.
I don't think she could have the torque to get it if you just put your hand out.
If you're
the
just
window.
like chuck it out,
It
I don't
still
know.
would have been kind of close, I think.
It might have been kind of close, but she didn't seem to care at all. She was just there crouching over it. She tried kicking like one time, but she just held it and was like shaking and sweating.
The pin thing, that was pretty. I wouldn't have thought about
That was
putting the nail
clever.
thing in. That was very clever.
It didn't work, but it
No,
was clever.
but it was a good try.
It was very clever. And she also, I don't know, Alma, gosh, she wasn't even like comforting the girls. I mean, it's fine if you don't want to try and escape and you just wait for somebody to come back and get you, but maybe be like, it's okay, like, it's all right. Like, why don't you lie down, take a nap, like, play a game, like, distract them. Don't just leave them sitting there.
Alma was not on your good side this episode, was she?
No, I mean, I just felt like she put herself in a bad situation. Regardless of if Kenneth was a good guy or a bad guy, you've known him for how long? I mean, you've known him, you've worked with him, but how long have you actually been seeing him outside of work? And now you're going to pick up your kids
Yeah.
and take them with you, not answer your phone, not tell anybody where the kids are, you know, and put yourself in the hands of somebody else. I mean, I think as just a mom, she would have had a better instinct. It's like you're not even divorced from your husband, and yet you're bringing your daughters into something completely different. I think that was where I'm annoyed.
That's true. And there was that big gap too. Like, what happened? You know, when they were driving off in the last episode, what happened between there and the next day, where she just rounded up the kids, took off? Like,
They must have just gone home and like had sex, right? Like
possibly.
her clothes were there. Like she
Yeah.
went to the house, and then they left. So they must have just gone to the house and had sex or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We might find out. But so she's not dead. The girls are fine, which I'm thankful for. But as a viewer, I'm not as connected to them as I am to Goose. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We see
of
him every
course.
episode. We feel for him. We know him. This is the first time we've really seen the girls.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they were kind of apart, even though they didn't do much. They didn't even feed the hamster as they were
They
sitting
didn't
there.
even do anything. They just sat there.
Why was there a hamster out in the middle of that house?
I think it was honestly so he could get them inside and say, I have a hamster, and they would see it and like play with it and not like run back
That's
out.
really creepy.
I don't really know if that's why, but I mean, maybe just to keep them distracted. I mean, here's the thing. You lost your wife and kid. Why would you, and you know how hard that was to lose your kid. Why would you want to kill somebody? I know you want to get back at him, but those are little kids. Like, they did nothing. They played no role in this.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. He's a psychopath, so I mean, it's a different level of thought.
Was he always a psychopath? Like, he was an FBI agent. He was really good at his job. Was he always a little crazy? He just put it into his work, and now he doesn't have his work, so he's putting it into this?
Maybe he was kind of. Well, I don't know, because it didn't seem like he was a really crooked cop from what.
No, I don't think he was
Ruiz
crooked,
or Marco's
but
been saying.
maybe he was just, like, intense,
Yeah.
you know? When he
was
sets out on doing something, like, he does it, maybe.
He was probably a good FBI agent, I would assume, just based on his work post FBI.
And now everything's coming together. Marco was saying he was a really good cop. He always wanted to look into the deaths in Juarez of the girls, and so that's probably where Gedman comes up.
Yeah.
Well, he was also Gedman's partner at one point, so he must have known Gedman was doing that. There's just so many, it's like a big spider web, and everything's connected, but you don't really know what effect it's going to have on the rest of the story. Like, what's going to happen? Like, he has Goose, and Sonia is in the hospital, so is it just going to be another wild goose chase to get him?
No pun intended.
Yeah, seriously, goose chase? No, but honestly, is that what's going to happen?
That's the thing. I think next week is going to be a lot more intense because, again, like we both feel
Closer to
Goose now, And I mean, it looks like it's going to be his episode next week.
I really hope everything works out well with that, because I really do like Goose, and I feel like him and Marco are finally.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that would be a gigantic loss
It'd be
for
huge.
a non-finale episode.
I know.
Even in a finale episode, that would be crazy. They'd really be throwing us a curveball if that
Yeah,
happened.
I'd be very surprised if Goose died. I mean, with Alma, it would have made. I feel bad saying this. It would have made sense if she died, maybe, because, you know, she doesn't play that huge of a role other than being his wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like we just know more about Goose. We care more about Goose.
It seems like, I mean, don't you think Marco would be the intended receiver of more of this, other than the collateral damage?
He wants him to feel what he felt.
Yeah.
You know? It's one of those things that it's like an eye for an eye. Like, my wife and son are dead because she was going to sleep with you. So now I'm going to sleep with your wife and then kill your wife and kids.
A very symbolic ending, too, with the Sonia and Goose in the car.
Yeah, with him. And so here's the thing. So now he knows that they have Alma. Now he knows they're going to a safe house. First off, how does he know Sonia's going to have Goose and not somebody else? He has to have eyes inside still or something.
And the calculated hit of that car, I mean, that was amazing. Like, how do you know?
And you're not going to get as hurt as they did? I mean, her car flipped.
He was just waiting on the corner, but how did he know where they were coming from?
I don't know.
That was amazing. I mean, you know.
Maybe he knows where the safe house is, I guess. I mean, here's my thing. So do you think he has somebody else working in there? Because
he has to.
How does he know all this that's going down?
He has to. I think we're giving him too much credit to say he's working alone.
And he knew about the stake. He didn't know about the stakeout with Goose, but he knew Goose was with Sonia at the end. So that's...
Yeah.
Sonia could have been alone, and then what? You just ran her off the road.
But how did he know? Like, how did he had to have waited at the intersection to pick them up.
Forever.
So how did he know? Like, somebody had to tip him off that they were
going
coming
that
or
way.
something.
I know. Or maybe these are all just guesses. He's like,
He's just
maybe
guessing.
they'll
He's
be coming
like, maybe
this
it's
way.
this car. Boom.
Well, I'm sure he knows who Sonia is. He knows about her, and he's been surveilling Marco. I mean, he had surveillance of Marco, so maybe he's done the same to Sonia and just assumed since Marco was with the girls, Sonia had Goose.
I mean, all the information you had in the wired apartment that they de-wired.
That's
like
another
that.
thing. This whole episode, like, come on, make it a little more believable. This house was set with so many bombs. Question, maybe he didn't set them to go. Like, maybe he didn't intend for them to find his home that quickly. But if they were set, there's no possible way they got those. Like, how did they get in there without blowing it up?
Maybe the El Paso PD has like the best
Bomb
bomb
squad
got ever, and they just haven't. They haven't shown them as characters.
They haven't
yet.
shown
Coming
them.
up next week.
It's just like, you know, it's known that the bomb squad in El Paso is
They're
just
just
like
the best.
A+ work. A+ work. I mean, nothing happened. They just
Yeah.
waltzed right in there. They're walking around. There's bombs everywhere.
There was a lot of wires involved in that setup.
Yeah, I think, was it Hank who's like, this guy had a lot of time on his hands? Or was it Cooper? Maybe, I don't know. But he clearly did have a lot of time on his hands. And I want to know, where did oh, well, he was Kenneth Hastings, so I guess he was getting a paycheck from being Kenneth Hastings.
Yeah.
I was going to say, where is David Tate finding the funds to buy all these bombs and make all these bombs and make all these plans? You know,
I don't know.
Well, he's Kenneth Hastings, so I guess he gets his paycheck.
Do you think you don't think he's making six figures at the university?
No, I don't.
Well, maybe he just had the stuff from being an FBI guy.
I don't think they just give FBI agents bombs and they're
You know?
like, here, do what you will with this.
Here's a grenade.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a very good point, actually.
He has to be working with a lot more people, or maybe just one or maybe two, but he was working with Jackson, and now
And Childress. Was it the same guy?
Yeah.
Wait, it's two last names.
Yeah, he's the guy with two last names,
Yeah.
but Jackson Childress, and then now we think he has somebody on the inside, or it seems as though he has somebody on the inside.
Yeah.
Maybe he has somebody getting him the guns and the bombs.
Well, didn't they tease that in the episode The Beast, where it's like, oh, we don't know if it's one person or 100.
The girl did, yeah. That little girl in Mexico, she said, you know, it's the Beast. And they asked if it was one guy, and she's like, we don't know. I mean, hundreds of girls are dying, but do we think I don't think he's the Beast. He wanted to solve the murders in Juarez. I don't think he's the one committing the murders in Juarez. So maybe that, when this is solved, when they do have Kenneth Hastings, that's where it goes, because they still have to solve the murder of Christina's body that they also found on the bridge. So it's not.
I feel like that's such old news right now.
Her and the judge are like, whew, whatever.
Yeah.
They were 7 murders ago. Who cares? I mean, honestly, but that's where it all started, was finding out what was going on in Juarez. And right now, the focus is all on David Tate, and none of it is on the girls in Juarez. None of it's on the prostitution or Fausto or any of that. So I think if they do get David Tate, it's going to take a turn for that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the body count is pretty high at this point, I think.
Well, I mean, they started it off with 2.
Yeah.
And then they had the people, 9 Mexican people trying to cross the border. I mean, it's not like he was going
the
for low numbers.
And the daughter.
Another 2. I mean,
the Mexican Playboy guy.
Yep. I mean, just yeah, it's just like
It's endless.
It honestly is endless, and it's just like how many people. I don't think it's all about Marco. I think it's just a game with Marco. I think it's just a little part of his plan that is gratifying to him.
What do you think? I mean, if Marco's not the ultimate prize, then who is?
Do you really think he would have killed all of those people just to prove to Marco, like, look, I killed a judge and a girl and a bunch of Mexicans and this guy? It's like, it's not just Marco. It's everybody who he thinks is doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't think it ends with Marco.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just more close to our hearts because we see Marco every
That's
episode.
true.
And so we feel more for him, and now we feel like it's encompassing the whole season, and it's not.
If
That's
the
not
show
what
was about Gedman, we'd be like, oh yeah.
yeah,
More into Gedman.
exactly. So I feel like, it's right now it seems like it's all about Marco, but I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. And again, if it is part of a bigger group, then I mean, it's just you're like you said before, it's a spider web that just
Keeps going.
yes.
It keeps getting bigger and trapping more flies, unfortunately, for the people of Juarez and El Paso.
Now, here's an off-topic question: the university that Hastings and Alma work at, is that in Juarez, or is that in?
I think it's in America.
In America.
I think it's in America because Goose also, I think, goes to school in America.
And they live in Juarez.
Yes, and yes, they live in Juarez. One of our viewers commented on YouTube about how it's very easy if you live very close to the border to get like a pass or some kind of paperwork where you're allowed to work in America, and you just go back and forth. So it's like you do your 9 to 5 in America, you go back to Mexico, and so
Plus, there's that tunnel you could take underneath
you
Charlotte's
could
house.
trek through the tunnel and go to school. That's the way he walks. It's like, your grandfather's like, I walked up 17 hills. Goose could be like, I walked underground for 3 miles from Mexico to America.
And I had a box of AK-47s.
And I had AK-47s dragging behind me. I mean, I don't know, but it's just, I know it's really hard to keep track of this whole show. I feel like we need a big book of references and like lists. And
We should get one of those FBI boards and put people's faces. And
yeah, we should, with the spider webs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we should do that.
Make our own case.
Now, here's my question, though. You know how, Gina, sorry, guys. Gina helped them draw the eyes of the beast.
Oh, yeah.
Were those Childress's eyes, or were those Tate's eyes, or are they no one's eyes?
I was looking at this episode. I think they're Tate's eyes.
You think Tate was the one who killed her? Well, Childress was pretty sure. He was like, I didn't kill her with that bone saw. That's not my bone saw.
That's not his style either. Childress is more.
He was more like, I'm gonna shoot you.
Machine gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot you down.
Yeah, that was totally Tate, I think.
Yeah, but they haven't said those eyes are Tate's, so I'm wondering if they have connected it. Like maybe there is a beast who's killing the girls, but then the beast would be in cohorts with David Tate. I don't understand.
Yeah, he might be the other missing
person.
link of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But you're right. I was looking at those eyes this episode when they in the background.
You saw them real quickly, and because we asked our viewers to hold up the eyes and watch this show and like compare. I don't think any of you did it because I didn't either. It takes
somebody please.
It's too hard to like compare
send
to
us a
everybody.
screenshot if you did that.
I know, right? But maybe they are Tate's. I don't know. I'll have to go back after this and like compare his face to the eyes, but I don't know. It just wouldn't make sense if he was also the beast. So
yeah. No, that wouldn't make sense at all.
But, I mean, it really does seem to be playing out that we're just, we're at the tip of the iceberg. It's all going to go downhill from here. I think we're just going to learn more and more, and it's going to really, like, unravel on us. I think the end of the season is going to get pretty crazy, and we're nearing the end somewhat. I mean, we're more than halfway through.
It's getting close.
Yeah, and so who knows what we'll find out. Hopefully David Tate doesn't hurt Goose in any way. That's what I'm really concerned about this episode.
I'm pulling for Goose. I think he can make it out of this one.
I think he can too. So
you look a little worried.
I am
There's
worried.
some concern.
I really like him, and I feel like he's like a tough guy. At first they're like, oh, he's in trouble at school, he's not doing well, but now I feel like he just wants love. He just wants to be loved.
He's just your average angst-ridden teenager. I mean,
exactly. He's a teen, and I don't want him to die. He's a teenager.
We've already killed one teenager.
I know. Oh, poor Gina. And her parents could care less where she was. I mean, it's parents. Love your children. It's not that hard.
That's the ultimate message. Of the
That's
show.
all you gotta do. This whole show is just be a good person, and then this won't happen to
and
you.
And don't get involved in nefarious activities that involve tunnels or guns or
affairs.
Yeah,
no adultery because it just ends badly for everybody. Well, look at it. If Marco never cheated on Goose's mother, he never would have stirred this up in David Tate. David's wife never would have died, and now none of this would be happening.
This is going to all
it's
be
all
traced
Marco's
back to Marco.
fault because of adultery, people. I know I harp on this almost every episode, but that's what it comes down to.
Adultery does not pay.
It does not pay off, and it's not good for Goose, and it's not good for David, and it's not good for anybody.
Marco's not there was a point where I thought he was an okay cop, and now his cop skills are diminishing every episode.
Yeah, no, I still like him. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just don't think he takes responsibility for his actions, and I think he's too, I understand he's working in Juarez and he's got his El Capitan telling him all these things he has to do, else he as the cop will end up in jail for not doing them. I just, I expect more out of him. I expect him to be a better person.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think he's a good guy at heart.
I think he has good intentions, and like he always says, he's like, to me, it's just sex. Like with these women, like with Charlotte, it was just sex. With Jill Tate, it was just sex. But what happens after the sex is a big deal to other people. And I don't think he takes responsibility for that. So I just think I want to see more from Marco. I want to see a better guy. And I don't know.
And a little better cop skills, and then I think he'll...
Yeah, because Sonya's kicking his butt.
She is.
She's, granted, she's got an eye for that, and it's all black and white to her.
And the chief is just worthless.
No, I mean, Hank, he's old. He's been in the game a long time.
And he gave Sony the chance, but I mean, yeah, as a cop, he's maybe not the best person to be in charge of this.
Maybe not, but...
small, understaffed police force that's...
the El Paso PD. I mean, I don't know.
The best bomb squad on Earth.
With the best bomb squad. Well, maybe he's part of the bomb squad.
Maybe that's
why they keep him around. I don't know. I know
he went in there by himself and just...
Yeah, he's like,
snip some
good.
wires.
I mean, yeah, because he makes rookie mistakes, like when they did let Gina go to the bathroom by herself and all of those things. It's there's little pieces that they could be doing better.
What was I was watching something else this week, and they let somebody go to the bathroom, and I'm like, wait, no, don't. He's gonna see. Oh, I think it was Breaking Bad, but different show. Never mind.
Different show, but did they run out the window or no?
No, when Jesse went to
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was like, no, he's gonna go out, thinking of this show.
Yeah, because that's the first thing I thought when Gina went to the bathroom. I was like, oh, she's running away. Oh, she's gone. She's gone. And you guys aren't even thinking about it. You're just sitting there eating your burgers. I don't know. This show is just too much for me, guys. And it's on a Wednesday. It's hump day. And there's just so much happening right now. There's so much to throw you into.
Stressed.
Yeah, it's like, it's already the middle of the week. And this show just piles it on thick. A lot to think about. So you guys better check us out if you haven't watched us live right now. And let us know what you're thinking. Because this is a lot to handle.
We need answers.
We need answers. And we don't have them. And we also don't have any real news and gossip this episode. But I'm sorry, guys. There's not much going on. Diane Kruger was seen on the red carpet, though, with her, I don't think he's her fiance yet, but her boyfriend. And they looked very nice. But I did, as Dave always does for you guys, I wanted to shout out the people who commented on YouTube this week. We had Wicked D95. I think the next one is Christine Neon 16. What FC? The Adrian Flo, the Big Bad, and Eduardo Torres. So thank you guys. Your input, like I said, is really important to us, and it helps us kind of break down the episodes because I go through them before the show, and it really helps us figure out the details we missed last episode. So now that we have majority of the details besides the one we skipped, do you have any predictions?
Yes,
and now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I predict that Charlotte is pregnant.
Ooh, with Ray's child or Marco's?
With Ray's child. I was gonna say that's why I thought for sure Ray was gonna get off this week, then find out she was pregnant, then Marco was gonna think it was her kid. But I think she's pregnant.
Okay, I wasn't thinking that. I don't know what I'm thinking on that front, like on the Charlotte front. I just think it's kind of going to blow up in her face. That's what I'm thinking. Honestly, I don't have any more predictions really other than I think Gus is going to be fine. As much as I am worried about him and the outcome of the show or his fate on the show, I think he's going to be fine because, like we said, he's too big of a character right now to kill off so soon. I think I personally, as a fan, would be extremely upset to see him go. I'd become very attached to his character.
I would get kind of like that. I would be really angry after that.
I would be very upset if they were to kill him off.
Bitter.
But outside of that, obviously Marco and Alma are going to rekindle their love for one another, or whatever you want to call it at this point. And hopefully we just learn more about Sonia. I'm really hoping we just we haven't heard about her sister's death in a while. We haven't heard anything about her personal life. I'm hoping after the Goose thing, we get more personal information about Sonia.
Yeah, I think that would be nice to hear.
That would be nice. So hopefully that is what happens, because that's what I want. I don't know what you guys want, but let us know. And thank you guys for tuning in as always. I am your host for this evening, Paige Sullivan. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PaigeSull. That is PaigeSull.
I am Tommy Rasera. You can find me on Instagram at ThomasJ and Twitter at ThomasJR. That's Thomas Jayr.
All right. And so make sure you tweet us if you have anything you want to chat about during the week, and we will be back next week. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you later.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.